the district attorney goes after lacrosse players involved in extreme hazing. This DA don't play. Put it up full mast. Let's get into it. A district attorney is giving 11 high schoolers 48 hours to surrender after incidents of extreme hazing. Now, we utilize that word hazing, but let's see if the word applies. He says if they don't turn themselves in, they will face kidnapping charges. The incident took place just last week. So we have the details. At least 11 high school students in Syracuse, New York, have 48 hours to turn themselves in or face felony charges of kidnapping for their alleged involvement in victimizing at least 5 younger lacrosse players in an incident the DA says, quote, goes way beyond hazing, end quote. So the remainder of the varsity boys lacrosse season, of the lacrosse season has been canceled. Westhill Central School District Superintendent Stephen Dunham said on Tuesday. So while the majority of the team was not involved in the incident or aware of the plans ahead of time, the superintendent said, quote, we must address the culture of the program. And the most appropriate way to do this is with a reset. Now, there are some who may say, well, this DA is being heavy-handed. No, the DA is actually being courteous, because I don't know of any situation where individuals have committed kidnapping, according to the district attorney, and they get 2 days to turn themselves in for the extreme felony known as kidnapping. I don't. So they are getting a courtesy based on the proclamation from the DA's office. So among the 5 victims identified by the Onondaga County Sheriff's Office, one student was taken to a remote area in the county when people appeared from the woods, dressed in black and armed with what appeared to be at least one handgun and at least one knife, Fitzpatrick said. Still sounds like hazing to you? There's more. That group put a pillowcase over that student's head after they have seen the gun and the knife, then tied him up, proceeded to throw him in the trunk of the car before he was left in a wooded area in the southern part of the county, the DA said. Quote, he was eventually returned home. There was a period of time where he thought he was going to be abandoned in the middle of nowhere. You can hear that some of the individuals found it amusing, he said. He's referencing a videotape of the incident recovered during the investigation. We do not have that tape as part of the investigation currently. Quote, I've seen the videotape of what happened to this young man. It is not a rite of passage. It is not a trivial matter. I don't know how long this young man will be affected by what happened to him, Fitzpatrick added. The arrangement, he said, was to deceive the student after a lacrosse game that they were going to McDonald's and then take him home. The driver of the vehicle purported to be lost in a remote part of the county before the, quote, accomplices jumped out of the woods pretending to be kidnappers, he said. That's a lot. So here are the dynamics at play that are different. One, typically an individual who is going through some type of hazing ritual has self-volunteered this initiation process. It's already illegal to do illegal stuff, all right? So in the hazing process or the rite of passage, there should be no laws broken in violation of said initiate. But naturally, this is a deceitful scenario. It could have gone really bad. I mean, if this guy would have fought other people, if he would have took the knife out of someone's hand and stabbed somebody, if he just put a fight up, period, what would they have done to him? There's more. You put him up. So the decision on whether to press charges has been removed from the young people victimized in the case and their parents. The district attorney said, quote, "This case will be prosecuted and handled in a normal course of business." In that scenario, they would not have bail set. They would be released to their parents' custody and their case would be handled in family court. Or if the individuals are too old for family court, quote, you will end this situation without a criminal conviction and a criminal record," Fitzpatrick said. Okay. So at the news conference or the news briefing, the district attorney spoke directly to at least 11 people believed to be involved in the incident, saying they have a one-time 48-hour offer to turn themselves in to the sheriff's department to face the crime of unlawful imprisonment, which right now, that version is a misdemeanor. Quote, if you're tougher than me, you're a gambler, and you're going to play the odds, you don't think you're going to get caught. Trust me, the men and women of the county are going to identify you, the DA said. Once again, these are courtesies typically never offered by a district attorney when people have literally snatched a human being while being armed and threw them in the trunk of a vehicle. The fact that you're being charged with a misdemeanor, which I do believe may be upgraded, at least it should be, you should run to that damn DA's office. Plead guilty immediately. Double jeopardy attached. They can't come back to you with the same crime or a similar one. Your attorneys will tell you this. You'll be arrested, quote, you'll be arrested, you'll be prosecuted as an adult, you'll be charged with the very, very serious felony of kidnapping, perhaps in the second degree. Once again, warning, caution, warning, courtesy, warning, courtesy. The incident was initially reported by a school resource officer, that is a police officer, who contacted the sheriff's department, which turned over the criminal investigation to the DA Tuesday morning. Speaking to the parents of the students who may decide not to surrender. I mean, damn, Syracuse they do things quite differently than we do in Atlanta. You're considering not turning yourself in, and there's an active warrant for your arrest. Okay, the district attorney said if the sheriff's department expends the same time and effort on the case as they would on a homicide, then don't come crying to me 2 weeks from now and say, you charged my little baby with kidnapping. Yeah, that's right. Most of my prosecutors can win cases that are on videotape, end quote. Mr. DA, put the DA back up. Mr. DA, I get it, man. You're trying, okay? You're taking into account that they are young, that there's a culture here, okay? But you're double talking. I don't think you mean to do it. You're double talking. You're saying on one hand, this is very serious and going to be treated via the normal course. Then on the other hand, you're saying things that are quite contrary to the very, very serious nature of what has happened here. There is no scenario where a husband could do this to a wife or a wife could do this to the husband. And there's all of a sudden this differential because somebody may not want to press charges. As a matter of fact, there's a remedy for that. It allows you to take those charges yourself rather than the person press them personally. And that's routinely how it's done. In this case, you have a peer group Their peer group likely has created some peer pressure so that the actual victim doesn't press charges. Well, that doesn't matter. You are the DA. You still have an obligation and the right to take those charges up yourself. The fact that they have a misdemeanor waiting for them and they have not ran to that courthouse or ran to that sheriff's department and turned themselves in is all the proof I need if I were DA to know that they think I'm playing around. Sir, you have been more than gracious. Your offer. I hope to report an update on this soon. Ben, have you ever heard of someone or a group of people who are supposed to be charged with kidnapping having this many courtesies from the DA?
I have not. And I guess they probably should take it. Maybe what the parents are thinking is that, perhaps there was such a pervasive culture in this team of hazing that maybe they think that their kids were sort of coerced into doing this, and that would come out and they'd end up with no record. Remains to be seen. It's sort of a tough gamble to one degree. I think that the kids who were thrown in the trunk of these cars, probably were asking for it, because you can't play the mean streets of lacrosse and not expect this to happen. You can't sign up for a sport like lacrosse, a real man sport. You got a net on a stick. I mean, there's a lot there.
Just say this. This is being talking.
This is definitely me talking. This is my opinion, but I'm tired of lacrosse players trying to act like they're cool, trying to act like, look, you expect this maybe in a fraternity. You don't expect this on a lacrosse team. If you want to be tough, play a different sport maybe. Yeah. Hazing definitely happens. Doesn't seem like these kids were attacked, but you are right, Doc. You have to opt in to the hazing in fraternities often, even though I think hazing is very stupid in general and is not a way to really forge brotherhood. You're, I guess, signing up for what will be a crazy experience. Not telling a guy and not knowing this is part of the team, if they had no clue this was coming, throwing them in the back of the car, making them think they're being kidnapped by armed men. It's not a great prank. As far as funny pranks go, it's not particularly funny.
Right.
So there's that. I would like to also remind everybody that in the back of every trunk these days, there's a little glow in the dark pull tab that you can open a trunk from inside. A lot of people don't know that. Might not help if you're tied up and your head is covered. You might not be able to see that tab. I only know that because I used to voluntarily go in the trunk of my parents' car for fun.
I was going to say, Ben, how did you get that information?
Yep. I thought it was just fun to see if I could survive it, and they would drive slow. I only did this once or twice, but it was a lot of fun. When you opt in, it's a very different story. And I will also say this, I personally have a lot of experience with being kidnapped and thrown into places I don't expect to be. That's how I end up co-hosting this show a couple times a month. That is true,
actually. But you kind of
just get a pillowcase pulled off and suddenly, I'm co-hosting Indisputable today. All right, so I feel for these kids, I really do.
Well, I hope they learn a lesson, and I think the DA is trying to teach them one. Charging them with a misdemeanor and telling them they got a few days to turn themselves in is probably not the way to affect change in their culture. All right. Okay.
Yep.
Bring updates as they come.